Hi everyone, welcome to another Lanzarote information news and weather bulletin. I'm Mike from Lanzarote Information, and each week we cover all the latest island news for you and then finish up with three things you could be doing if you're on the island over the next week or so. So before we get into the news, let's talk about the weather, and we're kind of just moving into the typical October weather pattern at the moment. The trade winds are still around, which they aren't normally at this time of year, but my feeling is they're starting to die down now. Earlier this week we had a mild Kalima, which was caused by the winds blowing dust over from the Sahara, but it's been hot. The temperatures have been in the high 20s, in fact the low 30s on Wednesday when we were out and about on boats. It's the forecast over the next week or so is more typical October weather, so the winds should die down a little bit. We should have very blue skies and lovely warm temperatures in the sort of mid to high 20s, falling only to 18 or so at night. Let's move on with the news, and we had news this week that olive oil production this week on the island produced around 14,000 kilos of olives, which in turn produced around 1,500 litres of top quality extra virgin olive oil. Now at the moment this has been an experiment really, which has been 10 years or so in the making. About 10 years ago the Cabildo offered landowners the opportunity to buy olive trees at greatly subsidised rates to see if it was possible to grow them and to get a decent yield from them in the sort of quite harsh climate and soil of Lanzarote. And the answer is yes, we've been able to do it and it's been quite successful. Although the yield isn't great, 1,500 litres from 14,000 kilos of olives. However, the quality, I gather, is very good. And we now have around 40 hectares of the island with olives, and we have a communal olive press or olive mill, which is based in Tagize and which is used to turn the olives into olive oil. And it's not been done commercially yet, so nearly all of it simply goes back to the landowners who've contributed the olives, so that they get to use their own olive oil during the course of the year. But you should start to see Lanzarote olive oil in the shops in the not too distant future. And while we're talking about olives, we also had the report this week that explains what percentage of the island is devoted to different types of agriculture. The headlines are the olives and the grapes are the fastest growing areas. And we now have about 75% of the agricultural land on the island is given over to grapes, and only about 5% to olives, and the amount of land given over to citrus fruits and legumes and cereals has been steady and fairly constant for the last 10 years or so. Now, if you're a regular visitor to the island, you've possibly been to Las Grietas, which is the so-called Grand Canyon in between Tias and Mancha Blanca. And this place, nobody had heard of it until a few years ago. It just kind of lived at the back of Tias, and a few of us locals knew it was there. But it suddenly took off because people started posting photos to social media of themselves walking through this mini kind of Grand Canyon. It really is quite small, by the way. Anyway, it just went mad, and we had literally thousands of people visiting it to get these social media photos for themselves. The initial issue we had was that the side of the road there started to crumble because so many cars were being parked illegally on the dirt at the side of the road. Eventually the Ayuntamiento of Tias closed off that section, so they made it impossible to park there, and they opened the car park, which is actually in the municipality of San Bartolome, but on a piece of dirt land there. And this now is also causing more issues because hire cars are getting stuck on that rough car park, and the walkway from the car park to Las Grietas is beginning to erode quite badly, with the hundreds and some weeks thousands of people walking across it. So Tias Ayuntamiento have commissioned a report, and the report has now been issued to them this week and has been made public. And basically it's saying that we really need to find a way to stop this kind of mass individual tourism arriving whenever they want to, and to have booked sessions. So if you want to go to Las Grietas, if the Ayuntamiento follow what the report is suggesting, you'll have to pre-book a slot and you'll be taken into the canyon with a guide who will explain the background to it, how it came about, and how we have to be careful to preserve it for the future. And while we're talking about the effects of over-tourism, the Fundación Cesar Manrique this week came out pretty strongly against the latest draft island development plan, which has been proposed by the Cabildo. Now, the island development plan is basically the big master plan for the next 10 years that says how much territory should be given over to tourism, you know, whether we should have new hotels built, whether we should have new housing for holiday letting built, and all of those kind of things. The Fundación, the Cesar Manrique's foundation, which he started while he was still alive, has a pretty powerful political voice here, and they've come out very heavily against the latest proposals for the next 10-year plan. They're calling essentially for a complete rewrite of the document, and I'm quoting them here. They believe that the island plan cannot be a catalogue of good intentions. They are demanding a transparent, rigorous and courageous diagnosis. They're calling for a structuring document that guides the island's territorial and social transition, with clear limits on urban and tourism development. They are citing the need for there to be no more tourist beds in Lanzarote. On a much lighter note, there was a large pod of dolphins just off the coast of the island in Puerto del Carmen this week, and they just enchanted locals and tourists alike, who were able to watch them cavorting and playing just off the coast of Puerto del Carmen, off Playa Grande. It's a great time of the year to come and see dolphins and whales in that sort of stretch of water. It's also a great time of year to go out on the boats to watch, to do a bit of whale watching. You stand a very good chance of seeing whales and dolphins at this time of year, because they tend to come close to shore as the water starts to cool down after the summer. In midsummer it's just a bit too warm for them close to shore, so they stay further out and they tend to stay deep. This time of year they're coming much close to shore and getting shallower as well. Next up, you might hear helicopters flying around at night here at the moment. There is a battalion from the Spanish military of Super Puma helicopters and their pilots on the island. They're based at the military airfield, which is right next to the main airport or the only airport in Lanzarote. And they are here training in night flying. So they're using infrared goggles to fly at night without any navigation lights on, and they're learning how to fly up and down the valleys and ravines of Lanzarote. So we had to pass over our house last night and we were able to watch them and hear them. So look out for them on your travels around the island over the next week or so. Interesting news this week that that proves that the extradition treaty between Spain and the United Kingdom works. A British man was arrested by Guardia Civil this week, and it turned out that he was wanted. I'm going to get this right by reading it. He was accused of sexually assaulting an underage person in the UK, and he fled the UK before the court case that he was due to appear at took place, and he fled to Lanzarote, but Nottinghamshire police were able to establish that was where he was. They contacted the authorities here, who arrested him very quickly. He's currently in detention here, just awaiting a judge to sign off the deportation order, and he will be sent back to the UK to stand trial as on the charges that he was originally accused of. We just recently, last weekend actually, had the second running of the Vuelta Ciclista, which is a 2-day cycling race that sort of goes pretty much all the way around Lanzarote. And last year was the first edition. As you can imagine, it was an event run, or is an event run by Club La Santa, and this year they had 600 people registered for it. So it is a very fast growing event, and Lanzarote really is becoming a big destination for cycle racers, but also for cycle training. And you'll see lots and lots of cyclists on the road training over the winter months, which are coming up now. And talking of cyclists, the road from Playa Blanca towards Fermez, to the roundabout at the bottom of Fermez, so that road that runs from the Papagayo roundabout to the roundabout at the bottom of Fermez, that road is going to be completely refurbished over the next few months. It will have new street furniture, new signage, and it will also have a cycle lane put into it. Cyclists cannot turn right at that roundabout and go on up to Fermez, but it's a cracking road to cycle on, nice steady long hill climb, and when they get to the roundabout at the bottom of Fermez, cyclists can either hang a left and go back through Las Grietas and the main road that way, or just turn around and go back down the cycle path that they've just cycled up. So look out for that taking place over the next few months in Playa Blanca. And finally, this is EES weekend. This Sunday, the EES, the entry-exit system into all Schengen zone countries in the European Union, actually kicks off. So from this Sunday, you'll be using the e-gates. You can expect, if you're coming from outside the EU, which for Lanzarote means primarily British citizens, you can expect some delays over the next few weeks, because on your initial visit, and everyone's initial visit, the system will have to take a scan of your fingerprints and your face. But once that's done, your future and subsequent visits should be much faster, because you'll literally just be able to slap your passport on the scanner and the gates will open, because the system will recognize who you are. So we'll be monitoring that very closely. That, as I say, kicks off this weekend, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, and that's the news done, and we're going to now talk about 3 things you could be doing on the island next week. And I just picked these randomly from the What's On page of our website. So if you go to lanzaroteinformation.co.uk, hit the button at the top that says What's On, you can see everything coming up in chronological order, or you can put your own dates in. So if you're here from the 15th to the 25th of October, put those dates in and you'll see everything that's taking place. So the first thing I'm going to recommend to you if you're on the island next week is taking place this weekend, Saturday the 11th and Sunday the 12th of October, and it is called Yoruba Fest, and it's basically an African festival that's taking place in Teguise over those 2 days. And bear in mind, Sunday is market day, so you can either go and enjoy the festival on Saturday and just enjoy that particular festival, or you can go on Sunday and you'll be able to do the market and enjoy Yoruba Fest as well. There are 2 separate programs for the 2 days, and they include dance events, gastronomy events, food tastings, cultural stuff, artisan workshops, and much, much more. We have both full programs for the 2 days in that What's On section, so go and have a look at that. It's completely free of charge to visit Yoruba Fest, and it's a celebration of all things African. Next up is a walkathon, which is taking place on Tuesday the 14th of October, and this is an event that's taking place in cities all across Europe, and Arrecife is one of those cities where it's taking place. And it's a walkathon to raise money for the foundation We Are Water, which provides water for places that need it, primarily in Africa. And this walkathon kicks off at 9 a.m. in Arrecife at the Recinto Ferial, which is the big car park near the Cabildo. And it's just a 4-kilometre walk from there, past the main beach, past the Arrecife Grand Hotel, past the Puente de las Bolas, the bridge with the balls on top, until finally you get to Marina Lanzarote in Arrecife. And it's just a lovely walk on the seafront there. You pay €5 to join in. That money goes to the charity, and you'll walk with a big group and be able to have a good natter while you're doing so on Tuesday morning. Highly recommended. And finally, and this is really different, this takes place on the 16th and 17th of October. And this is the 17th Encuentro de Corales. That means meeting of the choirs. And basically Lanzarote's 5 biggest choirs are giving a choral event. They're going to be singing for people at the Sociedad Democracia in Arrecife, which is in Avenida Rafael Gonzalez. That's taking place on the 16th and 17th, completely free to go and visit. If you're a fan of choral music, I think you'll really enjoy this one. It kicks off at 8:30 in the evening. You can get full details on the What's On pages at lanzaroteinformation.co.uk, including a map of exactly where to go. So that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you found that useful, please give us a like. If you've got a question, just stick it in a comment below. I'm happy to answer all of your questions about Lanzarote or life in general. If I know the answer, I'll give it to you. Thank you once again for watching, and bye for now, everyone. Bye.